Well, a number of my subscribers from overseas have asked me what's so special about the English pub. Of course, that doesn't include my subscribers and chums in Australia or New Zealand, but it does in other parts of the world. What's so special? What makes it different from a bar, any other bar? Which is a very interesting question. The English pub is a fascinating institution. I've lived and worked and been all over the world. There's nowhere pretty much at my age I haven't been to at some stage. But I haven't found anywhere that really quite has the equivalent of the English pub, based of course on the ale houses of yesteryear, if you will. It's an absolutely fascinating place, the English pub. I remember when I was just probably 8 years old, cycling past a little pub on the corner of our street, and it had those glass bottle type windows you couldn't see through, you know, those sort of amber coloured windows you couldn't see through. But what I could hear was the buzz of conversation. The door was slightly ajar for the simple reason it was summer, and you could smell the pipe tobacco and you could smell the ale coming out and that wonderful buzz of conversation. And I couldn't wait. I thought, that's exciting. I want to get in there when I'm old enough. That really does sound fun. And of course, I had my first pint like a lot of Englishmen did with their father and their grandfather. And then that's a lovely moment when you have your first pint. You're old enough to... I wasn't actually quite old enough, but there we are. And it's a wonderful institution. Now, what is so special about the English pub, which they don't have in a bar per se? And that is, first of all, the great thing about the English pub is when you get to the door of the English pub, you do something which doesn't happen in many other countries, particularly continental countries. You leave your rank at the door. You leave your rank outside. It doesn't matter whether you're a hotshot barrister or you're an accountant or whoever you are. It doesn't matter whether you're a chippy, a sparky, a hairdresser, it doesn't matter. That rank is left outside. You don't bring that in. You don't bring that in. It means that everybody's view of the topic of the day is the same as everybody else's, unless, of course, it's somebody's specialist subject. So whatever the conversation may be, everybody has an equal say. Nobody's Herr Docteur or Monsieur le Professeur or anything like that. It doesn't work like that, and that's what I love about it. Rank stays outside. And of course, another thing I love about the English pub is you will always find an expert on something in there. It doesn't matter what you want. Give you an example, the other day I was in my local, my wife wanted to grow some chrysanthemums. She hadn't had experience of growing those before, and she asked a well-known gardener in the pub. He said that's not his area of expertise either, but he knew a man who did, and that's your typical pub. And he put her in touch with that guy who had an allotment up the road, and he gave her wonderful sound advice. I had a classic car once. I had a Morris Minor 1000, and I was having a little bit of a trouble. Something was knocking somewhere, and blow me down, the guy in the corner had restored more Morris Minor 1000s than you could shake a stick at. There's always somebody in that pub who either knows or knows somebody who does. And you get this wonderful feeling of comfort and comradeship in a good pub. And I absolutely love it. And it's a base camp. It's base camp, certainly for a rural community or a village community. And I say that, and of course it's just the same perhaps in the big cities. I mean, London itself is really only a great mass of tiny villages bolted together, if you will. So it's very, very important. And it's somewhere somebody can go if they're on their own. We sadly had a brand new widow and widower in our local pub only this year. And that pub is their point of call. The English pub is very, very important as a social base. It's vital. It's vital. It's not a nice to have. It's a must have. Now, these new rules coming in, of course, are saying that you can only go to a gastro pub or a pub that serves meals. Well, that's all right. You know, that's okay. Some pubs serve meals, but a really good pub is the one that doesn't really bother with food. It does good ale, comradeship, and in the corner you've got a big log fire in the winter, and everybody is go in and have a really good chat. Absolutely fantastic. And you've got a landlord or a landlady who knows you. If you're a regular, they've poured your pint before you even cross the floor. They've They're pulling your pint, they know who you are, everybody knows everybody else. Hopefully most of them are dog friendly. A really good pub is dog friendly. And for some extraordinary reason, I've never worked this out, but dogs don't squabble in pubs. They know that they're on their best behaviour because they don't want to embarrass their master or mistress, and so all the dogs, big or small, all get on marvellously well. So that's another wonderful aspect of the pub. And you can get a conversation going about anything, the topic of the day. Try up in Yorkshire here, Yorkshire pudding. Do you put a teaspoonful of mustard in the mix or not? How hot do you have the oven? Do you do it in oil or do you do it in dripping, so on and so forth and so forth? You can last till lunchtime. That can last till lunchtime, that kind of conversation. But it could be anything else. So the pub is an absolutely wonderful, marvellous institution which I don't think I've ever seen the like of anywhere else in the world. And it's something that we really need, we must cherish. And of course they're dying in their thousands every month. They're dying in their thousands. And whether or not this is a deliberate ploy by government, I don't know, because that's where we discuss everything. That's where the butcher, the baker, the cab driver, that we all get together and discuss topics of the day. And I've said before, and I said in my last video, this is what I think they're very, very uncomfortable with, which is why they're punishing pubs which don't serve, the ordinary pubs, the chatting pubs, the beer pubs, the real ale pubs. They're the ones that are suffering, usually run by somebody who either owns the pub or is a manager, or little people, small people running their little pub. That's the kind of thing. I'm very worried about it. I think when we lose it, we'll lose it forever. They've been dying now, pubs of that nature, for some time. And this is going to make it worse. There's going to be a lot of pubs that aren't going to reopen. That's why I'm worried about the pub. And that's what the difference of the pub is. And those friends of mine and subscribers of mine who've been to England, and that includes many of you I know, the first thing they want to do is be shown into a real pub. It's a British institution worthy of saving. And the trouble is with politicians, they don't go into pubs. You won't find your MP in a pub except election time. He doesn't go there. He doesn't go there because last thing he wants to do is have his electorate, his constituents, come up and tap it on the chest and say, why are you behaving like a complete and total muppet? That's what he wants to avoid, which is why they don't go in. Long may the pubs stay alive. As most of you know, my work is very heavily independently research based. And I get my information from all over the world. It would help if you press the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, because the more subscribers I have, the more likely it is that international independent research institutes will share their material with me. It's most helpful, and then of course I automatically share it with you. So, surprise, won't cost you anything. Thank you very much.